So I have a fan faced on my laptop. I don't know if it's going to affect the volume. I'm going to just turn it off. My laptop had some sort of fan failure notification on it. But the interesting thing about that was like the warranty on my laptop just came as like expiring with the option to renew. And I renewed it. And I never do that. Like all the laptops I've ever had, I usually don't extend my warranty or anything like that. And I don't know, I did on this one, and then like 2 days later, the fan thing came up. So like, just way to show me how held I am, by the universe. Like to me, that's just like, oh, nice. Like I followed my instinct, and it's for a reason. It paid off because imagine if it had expired and then that fan thing happened, how I would be feeling. I would be feeling like, oh, why didn't I follow that prompt within that was telling me to renew or consider renewing or whatever, right? All right, so I'm just noticing like I have a lot of my altar showing in this shot, and these are my oars. I have taken up a new hobby, which is paddleboarding. I'm pretty excited about it. So here's what this one's about. You already know if you read the title. But I am going to just answer get to know me kind of questions. I've got 100 questions here as options. Maybe I'll skip some. I've only looked at the first two, and then I knew I was going to record, so I made myself a cup of tea. And I'm sitting down with you to slurp on some tea and answer some potentially vulnerable questions. Vulnerability-inducing questions, but also just a get-to-know-me more set of questions. And it kind of started with this thought about, in my little scrolling bit on Facebook this morning, I saw a post about Sphinx. In the mythology, Sphinx was a character that would pose a riddle. And if you didn't solve the riddle, then you would be devoured. And I know that in me in particular, there is mystery around me. And it's partly because I am a little bit more secretive about my intimate life, my personal life, and my vulnerabilities. If we're not talking about a wound, you probably haven't heard about it when it comes to my life and what I'm doing and what's important to me and stuff. And also, I have Scorpio energy, and just the nature of a Scorpio, people will find that a mysterious energy, because Scorpio energy is a lot below the surface. Like our focus tends to be in the unseen world, the things people don't talk about. That's where Scorpios like looking at the world from. So when people would observe us, what they see is like a character looking out from behind a rock who can see pretty much everything, except for maybe a couple things that are too close, right? Okay, so just doing this for fun. I mean, don't watch if you're not interested, by all means. This is me entertaining myself this morning and challenging myself to be more vulnerable. And the two questions that I read, I'm going to start with, but I can tell you that the first one, I have a hard time answering this. It's, what is my fondest childhood memory? And nothing came to mind, and I was just like pondering it deeper, and I was like, I vaguely remember my childhood. And I know there were times that I enjoyed, and I can remember a couple of them, but it's vague memories. Like, I can remember dancing in the kitchen with my brother to my mother's Daryl Hall and John Oates that she had playing. And the dancing was kind of like this. We were both holding the end of a towel and just sort of flinging each other back and forth and around. And it was very fun. I just remember it being fun. And other time, maybe like I remember jumping on my aunt's bed with my cousin. And we would do this often. And just the fact that she would let us jump on her bed is pretty awesome, right? But there was this one time that I fell and I landed on my back and I got the wind knocked out of me. That was really scary because that had never happened to me before. And at that time in my life, I was waking up with nightmares and like that state where you like can't move or you can't speak what you really want to. And you're trying to scream, but it won't come out. Like that was night terror kind of stuff was happening to me at that stage in my life. So having the wind knocked out of me was just like a added bonus to that kind of stuff. I remember that my aunt Susan would sort of supplement our Christmas and really make sure that we had an abundant amount of new toys and gifts at Christmas time. And I remember knowing that it was her that was doing that, and just the knowing that she cared about us that much made me feel like extra loved. And of course I liked the new stuff and the toys. So that's a fond memory from childhood. So I'm giving a few because nothing is standing out as the fondest childhood memory, but those are some nice memories from my childhood. Which is an interesting thing to ponder, right? Because then I'm realizing, most of my memories from childhood are more negative things. Like being bit by a horse, almost being kidnapped. Just like things that are like, all right, better left, right? Because like I survived and we don't have to hold on to it. But it was nice to look for those fond memories and actually to find some, but they're not crisp, Okay, let's move on. Question number 2. What is my favorite comfort food? The way that I eat is that I usually do mono meals type thing. So what it means is I'll eat the same thing over and over again for days at a time, for months at a time, for weeks at a time, depending. And it's just like I'll eat that every day. So like that's a comfort to me, right? Like it's easy, it's comfortable. There is this thing about I've had my tonsils removed, and the function of the tonsils is that they prepare your gut for the food that it's about to digest. So if you think about not having tonsils, then you know that your gut doesn't have the chance to acclimate to the food right before it gets there. But if you always have the same meal, then your gut is already acclimated to that meal. You know what I mean? Like the biome is already set up to digest that. So I kind of have an idea that is one reason why I just feel a craving to do it that way, to eat in that way. But I don't know. I just have that sense. And if I were to eat for comfort, which I tend to not really do, at least not consciously in any way, but in the past I've definitely like treated myself with this particular gluten-free cake and put raspberries or blackberries on it, and it's really good. And it's just chocolate cake. And the thing about that cake is they raised the price. And whenever a grocery store raises the price of something I've been buying, I usually rebel against it and will not buy it anymore. It could go up by 50 cents, and sometimes I'll still buy it, but I won't like it. If it goes up by $3 like this cake did, it's done out of my life forever. It's just not worth it, because this is a gluten-free cake. It's in the frozen section. It's like 4 pieces. It's like this size, and they charge $14 for it. And I just can't justify it, you know? I know at a restaurant they would charge you that much for a piece of cake, so, like, I get it. But, like, this isn't, like, the best cake I've ever tasted. It's just that it's gluten-free, so I feel comfortable eating it. So I guess chocolate cake would be a comfort food if I wanted to do it that way. But the reason I pair it with fruit is because I also want to feel like I'm adding something good to my body as well. Sorry about the slurping. It's just how it's going to work here with this cup. I don't mind slurping. There's something you can know about me. What is my favorite way to exercise? I don't like exercising. But swimming, dancing, walking in the forest. My favorite way to exercise. Those would be the main ones. I have a balance board. And I don't know if you know what a balance board is, but you know, you just kind of go back and forth at that. So very low impact. I'm not doing muscle training. I'm not doing cardio. Just moving my body in a way that feels right. To be honest, a lot of the way that I exercise, anything that's like more, that requires more exertion, I do it in my imagination. Like if I'm driving, I sometimes imagine myself running in front of my car. And the reason is because imagination is how we can talk to ourselves. And I use that imagery to activate my cells into understanding that we need to shed this weight so that we can run fast. And the other thing I do sometimes is imagine being chased by a wild animal that I have to outrun in order to save my life. And the reason I do this is because it's a trick that I learned, I've used in the past, and I just started implementing it again. But it will engage the part of us, the primal part that wants to hold on to fat, because if there's been a calorie deficit or a nutritional deficit, the body thinks that there's a famine and it holds on to everything. And it will prioritize shedding the weight if there's some sort of other survival threat. So I imagine a other survival threat to activate the primal part of me that wants to survive into letting the weight go so that we could escape a predator. I know it sounds weird, and some people might be like, why don't you just exercise or go to the gym? It's like, no. I just don't want to. I've joined gyms before in the past in my life, and it's just, I just don't want to. I mean, maybe if I had someone to go with and it was more of a social thing where we were talking and things like that, I might enjoy it. But that's not what I'm gonna do when I'm alone. No. I dance around my apartment sometimes. Sometimes I'll take laps just on my property in the yard, or just walking to the mailbox, or I have trails up behind my house that I can walk on. And I haven't in a while, but I can. So that's me in exercise. And you might be like, oh, well, that's probably why you gained so much weight. And it's like, yeah, that is totally why I gained so much weight. In the past, I've never been this heavy before, but when I was heavier, one of the ways that I lost weight was I bought a bicycle and I started riding a bike, and then I started doing hikes and just got really active. So I definitely understand that being sedentary is a major cause of a weight gain. Even if I'm not eating excessive, it's just the fact that I'm not using any of the ability that my body has to burn anything off. Am I a morning person or a night owl? I'm not a night owl. And in the morning, I take it really relaxed too. I know that so far I'm painting myself as a really lazy person, and maybe you could say that, but I'm also a projector, and projectors don't have an energy motor. What we have energy for is our passion. And my passion isn't a physically exerting thing. My passion is digging into the psyche of somebody or myself and unlocking something that was keeping a restriction there to enable and allow freedom. That's my favorite thing. So maybe there's a little psyche place in me that I can unlock to allow, this freedom of movement of my body, maybe. But, other things that tie into this is like, I don't know if you know this, but like I spent 7 years in bed. I was agoraphobic and didn't leave my house for 7 years of my life. And there's a lot of freeze response. Like that's my go-to response. So the fact that I really relax and take things easy in life, it might be because I'm keeping close to that freeze response. It could be. It could be just because, like, it's also the feminine energy. It's not like the get up and go and push. It's just like an allow and to feel my body and my intuitive prompts, right? And when my body's like been eating this processed food before now, when I was allowing myself to eat some processed food, and my body got taxed from that, and now my body's kind of sore and just like working that out slowly. So I'm just taking things at a pace that feels good. I'm not like pushing my body to be super uncomfortable at any time. I'm just not. I've been uncomfortable for enough time in my life. And it doesn't mean that I can't do hard things. It just means that I'm going to do things in a way that makes me feel comfortable. And I can do it that way. Most of the weight I lost at another time in my life was simply through fasting and meditating. Literally. And just being on the earth. Like just sitting on the earth in the sun. And I lost tons of weight that way and got really in touch with God. And I'm not worried about me, my body, how I look, or other people's perception of what kind of activities or how I'm doing it or how I could improve. Like, I'm not going to be asking other people for advice on that because I'm really focused on getting in tune with me and what I need. And like when there's a point where I feel like I should exert myself or push myself, then you'll see me hiking again, or I'll see me hiking again. And that's what I would put it into, right? Like, or my paddle boarding. Like that's going to be worth it to me. So, okay. What happened here? My page kind of like disappeared. Oh, I'm on 1% of my battery. I'll probably have to get my other phone to continue this on, or I'll just do a couple more questions. If I could have any superpower, what would it be? If I could have any superpower, what would it be? That's not, like, to me, I just wouldn't be anything other than what I am. I really like who I am. I really like what I can do. And my specialty and my skill set is pretty cool, and I like it. Like, so I don't feel like I need more because like the process of getting to know myself involves like shedding the extra things that aren't authentic. So this question to me kind of just makes me think like I don't wanna, like, what if I said I want to be invisible so I can spy on people because like I'm kind of a detective and I like looking deeper into things. But the other part of me goes, well, that might cause more damage than you're even aware of. Like, why don't you just follow the divine guidance and the orchestration that's already set forth in a plan for you? Like, yeah, that sounds right to me. Like, I will just that. I don't want to offset the balance of a beautiful, perfect ecosystem. So, do I prefer cooking, baking, or neither? Yeah, neither. Like, I'll cook and I'll bake, but only when I need to. Which is, I don't go out to eat very often. I have been letting myself have dinners out more often lately than I had for a long time. And I make myself breakfast, which today I did, and I started with tea. And that's something I used to do. What I used to do is start my day with tea, and then that would put me through into the afternoon, and then I would have a meal kind of like mid-afternoon. But apparently that is a good way to start your blood sugar in a spike. So you're better off, according to the research that and the experience with trying it, having a savory meal in the beginning of the day. So that's what I was doing for a while, but I just didn't feel like cooking. So there's that answer. Am I an introvert or an extrovert? Introvert, but I can be extroverted, but totally an introvert. What superhero do I find most relatable? See, like, this is... my brain doesn't think that way, because I'm not inclined to take away the greatness of who I think I am. And I don't mean like everyone is great, right? But like I'm supposed to be focused on my greatness. So comparison isn't really it's like the thing I've been trying to let go of. So why would I like purposely do it? Like I don't know, like I don't care what superhero has anything else than other, like I wouldn't compare. I wouldn't compare. What is my favorite season of the year, and what do I love most about it? It used to be fall, and I think it was because of the fashion. And now it's more spring, summer, probably summer, and it's because I can be in the water, I can swim, I don't mind the heat. I like being outside doing things with my family, and that's something we all do together. So that's why I like summer. I like being warm. I don't like being cold. This trailer that I live in is like really like a 3-season trailer. So it's not really meant to be lived in the winter, but I do live in it in the winter. So this is going on my 4th year. I've been here for 4 winters, and it's really fucking cold in the winter. And so I'm kind of sick of being cold. And, to be honest, like when I'm carrying extra weight this year, I was less cold than other years. So I think like with extra weight, you actually do stay warmer. And maybe that's part of my body, like adapting to this place. It's like, we're fucking cold here. If winter's coming, let's have a little bit extra weight and warmth. Do I believe in the existence of angels? Well, yeah. But I believe that everything's energy. And I believe that there's these essences that have been just in existence, right? And like some of these essences are entities and they don't come into bodies. And some of these essences incarnate with a soul into a human body for experience. And some of these essences are on other planetary establishments and experiencing life in that way. And so I feel like angels, it could be the same thing as aliens or any kind of like out of body higher form with a bigger picture view and an open heart. And I do think angels can actually come to Earth and agree to be in the density. And I do think that there are like fallen angels too that maybe come into the density and then forget that they meant to come out of it too, that they meant to alchemize themselves out of it. Or they're just having an experience for the understanding of the contrast between what it's like to be them and what it's like to not have that burden. So they might be very immersed. So angels, I think, would be the essences that are close to Christ in that their heart space is how they operate, with this love of all humanity, and knowing themselves as part of the one. That's what an angel is to me. What are my favorite TV series? The Gilmore Girls. I recently watched Flatch. That was pretty good. Loki. Love Loki. I just watched Devious Maids and I liked it. It's like a soap opera, basically. The show The Middle is coming to mind, but I didn't watch all of that or anything. Like, versus the Gilmore Girls, which I watched the whole entire series over and over and over again, 100 times or something. The Middle, I maybe watched a few episodes, but I know that show makes me laugh. So I like wholesome sitcoms. Schitt's Creek I liked. My favorite, would have to just be Gilmore Girls. That would be my go-to, just because it was just so comforting to me at a time in my life where that mattered. But it's not like, to me it's kind of like, who cares about that question? This isn't the important stuff in life. What was the last movie I watched, or the last movie I enjoyed? The last movie I watched was the one with Ryan Reynolds as like a CIA agent. What the hell is that called? And who was that other actor that was in it with him? Jeez. It was an interesting movie. It was okay, but like Ryan Reynolds as a badass CIA agent in fights and stuff, it's interesting. I liked seeing him in that different kind of role. But also like, yeah, just not used to seeing him in that role. I don't know. It was okay. Like, the last movie I watched, the last movie I enjoyed. I'm sorry that I don't know the title of that movie. I just watched it on YouTube, probably. Or it could have been Prime or Roku. Prime, probably. Am I a tidy person or a messy one? Both. Right now, things are kind of messy. Like, you see those oars there. Because here's what happens. I'll be like living my life and like coming and going, and then like just plunking things down in my space, or like, leaving the dishes for later to clean when I've just cooked and I'm running out the door, or just having a pile of laundry pile up there, and then like every like 3 days or so I'll just be like sick of that, and then I'll just like clean everything up, organize, throw things away, do the dishes, do laundry, and then it will take, it will stay that way for maybe 2 days, 3 days or something, and then it will start to get messy again. Things will start to kind of get a little bit more chaotic again. So that's how it goes for me. And I just go with that. If I don't have the energy or the impetus to clean up my mess at that moment, I won't. If I know somebody's coming over my house and my house is all messy and cluttered, I will make the effort to clean it up. Especially like my bathroom. I'll always keep my bathroom fresh for guests if I know they're coming and things like that. But like, I'll definitely let my bathroom get messy, or even like the floor having like, dust and my hair on it and stuff like that when I'm the only one here. So I'm absolutely both. Am I afraid of the dark? No. I feel like it would just be like being afraid of the light. Like, no, I'm not afraid of the dark. Like I said in the beginning, I'm Scorpio, so I'm always in the dark. That's where I'm looking out from. So maybe I'm just used to it and I just kind of am trusting myself, right? So I'm trusting my senses. Am I more of a coffee person or a tea person? Tea, but it's because of the acidity of coffee and the wreckage that it does on my gut. Because I like the flavor of coffee. Sometimes I'll do iced coffee in the summer. What talents do I possess that I'm proud of? Well, here's the thing. I don't use pride. If you watch my videos, you know that I use honor. So anytime I see the word pride, I replace it in my mind with honor. What talents do I possess that I honor in myself? I honor my ability to read energy, to trust myself, to read, to even like speak out what I'm sensing, right? Because there can be no physical evidence to what I'm sensing. And I still have what it takes to say the weird thing and risk being thought of as weird and stuff. I think that's a talent that I possess. And talents that I possess is... what's another talent I possess? I think I would have to give credit to my claircognizance. Because again, that's just the same sort of thing I was saying. But like, excuse me, sometimes it's not that I'm reading the energy and have to be brave enough to say it. Sometimes it's just that I know. It's been given to me as a download. I know this is true. I have no evidence, nothing to back me up. I have no story on how it came about. It's just I fucking know this, and I trust those things. And I think that is a talent that I honor in myself, because if I was letting fear dictate me, or fear of like what people think, or fear that of being wrong or making mistakes, that would all be suppressed and denied in me, and then my life would be much less fulfilling for me. Because I like the unfolding mystery. I like that there's always something new to learn and know. I like that I'm allowed to fuck up and make a mistake and get it wrong, or to realize something bigger about, or that I got the interpretation wrong even. I'm allowed to do that. And I still think it's a skill, even if I get the interpretation not quite right at first, because the skill is that I was even able to like acknowledge it, because I feel like this is available to everybody, and everybody has that ability, and everybody can build that skill, and that's one that I've built in myself. A talent, I'll say, I guess. Do or did I like school? Well, I liked college a bit more than I liked school. I was like extremely insecure and shy in elementary school. My father also committed suicide during the years of my elementary school time. So in fourth grade, I started out the year by going home sick every day with a bellyache. And then when they figured out that I was going to be doing that every day, they adapted so that my mom didn't have to come get me anymore, that the nurse let me stay in the nurse's office for the rest of the day. So about halfway through the day, half of my days for half of the year in fourth grade was spent in the nurse's office. So there was a definite discomfort. I was in trauma, and there was nobody there to like know what to do about that. And then, so moving on into high school, it was kind of like I kind of have tears come to the back of my eyes remembering it. It was kind of like I felt like I was a zombie, because I was just forcing myself to go through the motions of what, like, if I were to describe other people, I would say they were living life, socializing, doing sports, and participating in their lives as an active member of that life. But I was basically doing what I had to do, which was get up out of bed and go to school, and then come home and do chores, and then spend the night in my room planning on how to escape this life. So, and no one knew, and there wasn't like close friends. There was acquaintances, and people were nice enough to me, but no one really could get to know me because I was also walking trauma. Like I was in a traumatized state. So no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I wanted to die at that time in my life. Because I didn't want to be in pain, and I didn't have anyone to even care about that. In college, it was early days for me, and before I woke up, really. It was the beginning of my awakening, where kind of I worked at the college, actually, also, as I went to college, and just like losing that part of my life when my whole life crumbled was hard. But while I was learning in college, I liked learning. I liked that there was a whole friggin' catalog of classes that I could take. And whatever my interests were, I ended up changing my major like 3 times. So I have like 24 credits in all different things that don't add up to a degree. From nursing to business management to general studies. That's what I did. Because I just discovered that I really like to consume knowledge. Okay. Did I go to the prom? No. I didn't have a boyfriend. I had a crush on some boys, but they did not return the sentiment. I had my first boyfriend when I was already out of high school. I was in college. I was in foster care, and my social workers enrolled me in college because I wasn't 18 yet. So I was still a ward of the state. And then I would go home on the weekend because I did have this one best friend, and we would party, and then I ended up meeting this guy, and then he became my first boyfriend, and we had 3 children. Like I stayed with him for a long time, my first boyfriend. So I didn't have like a whole teenage dating life. I had crushes. I had strong crushes on a couple particular boys, and they did not appreciate it at all. And like today I would have to say, I'm so sorry, boys. I can understand why that would have made you uncomfortable. The shy, awkward, traumatized girl just like fixated on you, right? But I have Venus conjunct Pluto energy. So Venus is the planet of love, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, that dark, buried in the dark kind of. So what happens with Venus conjunct Pluto is obsessive. Like you either attract stalkers or you are a stalker. And in my teenage years, I was the obsessed one. Later in life, I saw it happen to other people getting fixated on me. But in the beginning, it was me getting fixated on a couple particular boys who were like playing music in a band and stuff like that, and bad boys, right? Like it was like that. Yeah. Like to me, I think it's funny now because it's just so. I was so cute and clueless, you know. Those boys were probably very uncomfortable. Like, why does this girl so like fixated on me? Because if I don't return that, then shouldn't that deter her? It's like, no, because this kind of Venus-Pluto conjunction, I feel like the fixation, the obsession can become a comfort zone, and it's like a little escape from what you might be having to worry about or think about if you were dealing in reality. So, Interesting. But right, I needed to have that experience to know what this energy was about, right? Like I was living it out. Before I could alchemize my access to it, I had to know what it was about, feel it, and be stuck in it. And it's strong. It's powerful energy. It's a like the draw and pull and the feelings that I had for those boys were like very strong. Yeah. I'm gonna take a sip. I'm gonna take a slurp. So my phone died. I do have another phone. It's in my bag that I still haven't unpacked from an event that I went to last night, so I'll grab it. Last night, this event was so great. I did 7 readings for some wonderful ladies, and it's kind of nice when I do that kind of thing because it just reminds me to own my skill set, right? Like when I do what I do and I find it so, I mean, how cool is it to just like put my hand in a bucket of tickets, be sitting in front of a total stranger I've never met before in my life, and to pull out tickets, to lay them out on a little board, and to tell them about the most intimate part of themselves and what they're going through that they haven't been open to talking about necessarily, or known how to solve, or even brought to their forefront as something to look at yet. And here I am telling them, and then it's resonating, and it's like their story. That is some cool shit. I like that. That's fun to me because it's like cool. I'm just reading the energy of this. I'm just reading this energy, and the fact that I can do that is really fun. And you know, sometimes I'm reading the energy and I'm not doing a reading, and I'm not sitting down with a person and pulling cards and telling them what I feel. Sometimes I'm just standing next to someone in the grocery store and I'm feeling all those things into their energy. But in the grocery store, the difference is, in the grocery store, I can't tell them. They haven't asked me. They don't know that I'm reading all into their stuff and I can see a root cause and a boo-boo and a blah, blah, blah. They don't know that, but these people are actually open to me saying it to them and sharing with them this particular view that I have. And that is what I love, because it's like this talent can be used for good, for helping and assisting someone out of feeling alone and isolated, feeling confused, feeling stuck, feeling hurt in a looping pattern that's ready to be released. And I really like that, because that means what I'm actually assisting people to do is to get free. And I like freedom. Freedom feels good. Freedom is my favorite. So, yeah. I'll be right back. Okay. My hair fell down, so I had to fix it. I'm all readjusted. So, I didn't find that same list that I was working from 100 questions, but I just did another search. And interestingly, I found this one. It starts with, do you have any nicknames? And the person who was using this question for their blog answers, people mainly just call me Julie, but some close friends call me Jules. So it's interesting that the page that I brought up is also written by a Julie. But do I have any nicknames? Yes. Jules, or Jewel, is kind of the shorter form of my name that is sometimes used by people like my sister, my mom. My grandbabies call me Juju, And that was specifically chosen because my mom is already called Graham by my children. And instead of making me a Graham, also, I was allowed to choose what I would be called. And my first granddaughter is half Filipino, and so she calls her other grandmother Lola, which is the Filipino name for grandmother. And just to kind of stay in line with like those that rhythm, I guess. I chose Juju, and Juju also correlated to, like, at the time I was making jewelry that I was kind of infusing with my Juju. Juju's Jewels is what it was called. So I just chose Juju. And also one time when I had signed up for Xbox Live, it gave me a name. And the name that it gave me was Volative Juju. So just the Juju part stuck. And I decided to use it as my nickname, or my name from my granddaughter. So both of them call me that now, because now there's 2 granddaughters. Like in the past, Jewel and sometimes Jules might have been used for me, but it's very rare that someone actually calls me Julie. Yeah, I don't hear that a lot, actually. Okay. Like, me and my sisters, we call each other sister. So, like, hey, sister, or sister, what are you doing, stuff like that. So, that's another nickname, I guess. Next question. I'm just going to do a few more of these because I know this is running on for a while, but maybe we'll go another 10 minutes or so. Are you named after anyone? My mom babysat someone named Julie, actually. So, in a way, yes. My middle name is Mandy, and my mom's best friend was pregnant at the same time as she was, and my mom's best friend named her daughter Mandy. She was born first, about a month before me, so my name was Julie Mandy. Do you have any siblings? Yes. I love my siblings a lot. So I have, like, I don't use half siblings and full siblings usually, but I will use that to describe the situation that I'm in here, which is that with my father, there were 3 of us born. So I'm the oldest, and I have my brother, who's 2 years younger, and my sister, who's 4 years younger than me. And then my mom remarried after the divorce that she got from my father, and after his death. And then in that marriage, when I was about 13 or 14, I must have been, she had my other sister, and then 2 years after that, another sister. So I have these siblings, and we all have children. So we're quite a big family now, and me and my sister also now have grandchildren. My sister just became a grandmother, so that's exciting. Our family is growing. Yeah, and I love it. I actually live 5 miles from my sister and 3 miles from my brother. Those are the ones that from the first, the ones that are closest in age to me. And then the other 2 sisters, one lives about an hour and a half away, and one lives about half an hour away. Where did you grow up? I was born in Worcester, Massachusetts, and grew up in there until about age 9 when we moved to Bristol, New Hampshire. And then I was put in foster care when I was 14 or 15, 16. I was 16. And so I was moved around a bit in New Hampshire and then just kept getting removed from foster homes. And so my aunt and uncle became foster parents to take me in. And so I moved back to Massachusetts. And then when I graduated high school at the age of 17, I was still a ward of the state, so I was put into college in Concord, New Hampshire. And then when I dropped out of college, I moved back to Massachusetts to try to establish myself in a career, and that failed. So then I came back to New Hampshire. So there's just a lot of movement there between those two states, but New Hampshire definitely is my preferred out of those two, just because the place in Massachusetts that I was is more city, you know. There was some suburb living, but I did most of my growing up in Worcester up to the age of 9, and then after Bristol, New Hampshire, we moved to Bridgewater, New Hampshire, which put us in the woods, so complete opposite of the city. So I had a little bit of everything there. What activities did you do in high school? Plan ways to die, collect pills so that I could overdose, slit my wrists in my bedroom, listen to music, put up posters of band members on my walls to admire, I guess. Cry a lot. For real. I did participate in cheerleading one year. Yeah. Okay. Where did you go to college? I went to the community college in Laconia, New Hampshire. And so it's a state college. And I did take like credits from the other schools by taking remote classes. So, but they were all community college credits that I got. What activities did you do in college? Are you kidding me? No. No. I was still just trying to survive, dudes. What did you study in college? I already touched on that earlier, so nursing, marketing, and general studies. Like marketing classes, I aced those. Critical thinking, you know, very good at that. Like, what I wasn't really good at, and ended up paying a lot of money to just what was it? To just get my credits for accounting and what was the math? Like, is it algebra? Yeah, algebra. I didn't take algebra in high school, so I had to take it in college, and I failed it the first time and got a C the second time. Yeah. So there's something you might not have known about me. What kind of music do you like? Oh, all kinds of music. I like a lot of music from the 70s. Van Morrison is one of my faves. I like the Jackson 5, to be honest. I mean, have you heard that music? Little Michael. And Michael Jackson in general is just, I know all the allegations about him, but to me, he was like an earth angel. You know, he brought a beauty here to earth that I just... what kind of music do I like? But I also spent a lot of years liking the Doors, and then like a lot of years liking Metallica, and Steve Miller Band, and um, the Beatles, and Daryl Hall and John Oates, Faith No More, Megadeth, um, Anthrax. What else? What and like I don't listen to those anymore. Those heavy metal bands. Oh, Black Sabbath. Yeah, I used to go to concerts a lot. Um, it was one of my favorite things. Like Ozzy Osbourne. I've seen. Just the list goes on and on. I won't try to. There's like I don't know, maybe 20 bands that I've seen. George Thorogood was my first concert. Um, I really like all kinds of music. Country, sometimes it's not my favorite. I wouldn't go to it as a genre. Folk music is kind of more of a genre that I would go for. Like sometimes it's pop music that I like. Music that can make me feel something. I'll let myself play my emotions with it. Um, but if it's talking about like fighting and war and hate, I'm not going to be indulging in it. So that's really my only aversion. Where are we at time? What's one hobby that you'd like to take up? Well, it's my paddleboarding. So you saw my oars. I haven't been on my paddleboard yet because it hasn't arrived yet. I have all the stuff. Like I also ordered the... So the paddleboard comes with a paddle. That's for stand-up paddling. But I also wanted to be able to do kayaking, like sit down with my paddleboard. So I bought the kayak paddle and a seat that can be attached to my paddleboard so that I can start in that way, because my son got a kayak recently and my sister has a kayak, so I want to be able to like do, that kind of thing too. So I'm just like geared up, but I haven't actually done it yet. So that's one of the hobbies that I'll be taking up. What did you think you wanted to be when you grew up? A hairdresser. If someone were to ask me and I had to like think of something, that's what I thought up when I was a kid, when I was asked. And why? Because like at the time it was just fun doing hair. Beauty and looks were really, really, really important to me. And actually it's interesting because that's another one of those things that I lived out that side of it, only to kind of come to this other side of it where like you see I'm missing teeth, right? You see that I'm overweight. You see that I don't wear makeup. And kind of all of those things have kind of put me in this position to realize that like beauty and like trying to live up to certain beauty standards is also kind of a way to also kind of hate on yourself. I'm not saying that it's not right and good to care for yourself and enhance certain qualities when you want to, and I think that's all lovely, and I will partake in that, right? But I also like that I don't need to. I also like that I'm pretty comfortable with myself. I also like that I can smile without feeling embarrassed or hiding the fact that I've lost teeth. I know that I'm still a beautiful being, that this vessel of mine is something I want to take care of, and I want to rejuvenate, and I want to, make sure I'm happy and healthy. And I think the beauty will shine through naturally because of that. And I really think like I've come to realize that I think it's arrogant for people to comment on others' looks. Like, I don't think I should be even telling my grandchildren they're cute, because I've just learned in the untangling of my own energies around the thought of needing to be beautiful and all that. Like my value doesn't decrease when my smile isn't like with full of teeth. You know what I mean? And there was a part of me that really had to like come to terms with that. And so I don't want my grandchildren thinking that their beauty is part of the most important piece of them, because it's just a little icing on the cake, in my opinion, you know? The most beautiful part of them is the essence and who they are, and this is just like a vessel that they're using to navigate Earth with. And yes, it's good to take care of it, and your body will automatically glow and look good when you take care of it. And so, yeah, my body is showing wear and tear because I didn't take good care of it for a long time. Often I would put myself on the back burner while taking care of everybody else. And my body is showing that, right? Like, but that's okay, because we also have this resilience with our bodies. So when I look at my body and when I see the wear and tear on my body, like, I know that that's not going to be the case all the time. Like, I know that the level of care I'm giving myself now will shine through eventually. So I'm not like trying to, like, this might be really weird to hear, but like, I kind of secretly love the fact that certain men will be deterred from me because of missing teeth and being fat. I love that it could serve as a filtration system, right? Because if you are intelligent, compassionate, kind, and also beautiful, it's a lot of work to sometimes like fend off advances, and also like be the object of any kind of attention that is shallow, to like be seen as an object of beauty without someone getting to know me on a deeper level. That sort of disgusts me. Like, I do not like men like that. And I actually truly have only met a few men that have bothered to get to know me on a deeper level. And I still to this day love those men. Because as they get to know me on a deeper level, I know them on a deeper level. And that's intimacy. And I love intimacy. So to me, like, the degradation of my beauty by commonly accepted beauty standards has actually been like this beautiful gift to like help me know myself and help me separate who I am from these standards that have been set for women in general. So like, I wouldn't trade it. I would not trade the experience of being separated from that, because it helped me know myself and who I am. And so now, I guess this question started with, what did I want to be when I grow up, you know? Now, like, looks and how my hair looks and all that, I like taking care of my hair. Actually, you saw that I have long hair, right? I really like my long hair. I don't want to cut my hair, but it is heavy. It is a lot. And that's why I'm always putting it up. Because it just feels like a heavy, like a lot. So to me, like, my comfort is more important than like living up to the standard of being attractive to someone else. Whereas that was not the case before at all. I would be very uncomfortable in order to look good before, at a different time in my life. So while yes, it is important for me to care for and take care of and recover the health and fitness of my body, I'm doing it for my longevity and not for the want or longing for attention from outside of me. In fact, part of the reason why I think I let myself gain this much weight and be this unconcerned with it, was a rebellion against that kind of attention. Like, I do not like that attention. I do not like men proposing to me that we like have casual sex, or that they're interested in me sexually. And it's not because I don't like sex, because I do, and I want to indulge in sex, but I want to indulge in sex not in a casual manner, because my energy gets entwined with another person's. That's that Venus-Pluto thing. And I don't want to entwine with just anyone, right? I want to entwine with the men who are inclined to get to know me on a deeper level, who actually can take the time. But like, that's only going to come from someone who knows themselves on a deeper level. You can't get to know somebody on a deeper level if you don't know yourself on a deeper level, because you just won't care enough to do it. And to me, I'm thankful for that being a distinction now, right? Because before, the reason why I know that's important to me now is because before it wasn't something that was important to me. What was important to me before was being magnetically drawn into somebody. And at the time that was happening, it was right, because I was drawn into people who actually taught me a lot about myself and relating and all of that, right? I've only ever gotten in relationships that were aligned in the stars. Like, I've never once ever been interested in casual dating. Never. It's not who I am. Maybe it's that Venus-Pluto conjunction. But like, friendships, sure, I'll have a casual friendship. I'll have acquaintances all day long, because as far as I'm concerned, we are all one. Humanity is lovely, and I like to get to know people. But yeah, nothing on that deeper level if someone's not able to go deeper and know themselves and have a desire to know me on the same level that they know themselves, right? Because there's a lot of interesting stuff in here that most people, maybe there's like 3 people in the world that know a bigger portion of who I am, and those are not people like my mother or my sister. Those are people like a couple of men, but from before, men that have actually talked to me and been vulnerable with me and got to know who I am and cared what I felt and what I thought. Now, my feelings and thoughts have changed a lot since then, because we're talking about men that were in my life like 25 years ago. No, like, yeah, about 18 years ago, something like that. There's 2 men in particular that I can think of. And then I have a cousin who probably knows me on a bit deeper level, but we're also very distant, and she doesn't know me on a day-to-day level, which is weird, right? So like, whatever time we get together, whatever's going on within me, I can share with her openly, but she doesn't really know a lot about my whole life as a whole. So that's an interesting, weird thing too. But like, those 3 people I can think of have taken the time to know me and want to know me, like ask questions, to understand better. So that's how you know, right? Like, if someone's willing to want to understand you, they're usually going to have to ask some questions, because they're trying to place it in perspective to what theirs is. And that's something that I enjoy in reciprocation, right? Like, I'm doing the same for them. And I've learned to kind of hold back and not go all in with people anymore until I see if that's where they're at. And that's just something that I've had to adapt to, because my curiosity is about all the people. Because I can already read into it all. So all I want to know is, like, are you open to it too? Like, do you know what's in you? How aware are you of your own stuff? So did I know that I would be doing this when I grew up? No. No. I had no inclination towards this at all. What was your first job out of college? I've had a lot of jobs. I worked at the college as the academic affairs secretary. So I was, doing, and then I had many jobs before that. My very first job, well, I was babysitting when I was 9 years old, but my very first like paid employment was as a chambermaid at a resort. And I've had factory jobs. I've had most jobs that I've had, I was moved into a supervisory position. because I was recognized for my leadership skills, my ability, I probably just the fact that I was responsible and gave a shit about what I was doing. Because I do have a kind of this belief of like, whatever you're doing, do it well as you can. You know, I don't like half-assing things. What kind of music do you like? We already answered that. Sorry, I had to reset the page, and I guess I've gone over by the time that I planned. What's the biggest project on your to-do list right now? Oh, dang. Well, you guys know I've alluded to a project that I've been working on, and I'm just calling it this other project. And that's because I just kind of didn't want to put others' energy into it. So it's not personal that I don't want to share it. Excuse me. It's not like... It's just because it's like still my baby. You know what I mean? So when it's more established, then I will share. And I love it. I'm excited about it. See how I light up when I'm like thinking about it, you know? So, yeah. And it's different. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to think of it, but we shall see. And that's a wrap, folks. I think we're going to end this here just because, like, if you have stuck around to hear me babble on about myself, first of all, thank you, because, like, isn't that what I was just talking about in the last question? People who will take the time to understand me. Now, if this were to be a two-way conversation, then I would really, really appreciate it. So if you want to share about yourself, if you want to ask a question, if you want to share anything that you could relate to in particular in the comments, that'd be great. Or if you don't feel comfortable sharing it publicly, you can email me. You know, I'm open to it. So, you know, I'm not really open to people pretending to be someone they're not. Like, like, if you can't come as you are, don't bother, right? Because I'm not gonna... I used to entertain catfish sometimes when I knew they were catfishing, but not heavily, not invested in, just like lightly to kind of like poke a few holes in their story and let them be. So it was like a little game playing, and these days I'm less inclined to entertain it because I just got so many other things going on that I could prefer to do. But if you can come as you are in your authentic version and you know, as who you are, not using another name or anonymous email and stuff like that, then I welcome your email to have any discussions or sharings. So other than that, thank you for taking the time to get to know me better. That is all for now.